always in the present moment, aware to the degree that we can be able, and there's always room for development and growth. And so we don't want it to make a perfectionist project. We want to make it an acceptance project of where we're at. And that acceptance is part of the reason it flowers and grows over time. So that's the first piece I'll just say around sort of awareness developing. Um, we're not in isolation. So, but it can be helpful to practice on ourselves because we're the one we're around all the time. We're the one that's always available to practice with. And so I think practicing with ourselves, whether that's a meditation practice or some other awareness cultivation practice, I think is really important. Um, that said, if we never make it relational, we've just isolated ourselves with our practice. And a lot of people are in that position where they become really good at being mindful alone. And the moment anybody enters their field, it's challenging for them because they didn't actually translate their practice. There's two broad categories of practice. There's insight practice and there's concentration practice. Concentration practice resources us, focuses us almost exclusively inward, and insight practice is sort of everything else. It can integrate really nicely in our lives and work. So I think it's really important that we acknowledge the relational piece. Even if we're sitting in a dark room all by ourselves with our eyes closed practicing, we're connected to the items around us. We're connected to the people around us to whatever degree, we might hear them in the other room a little bit. It's always relational. We're always relational. We can't be in a vacuum. And so I say that because there's sort of this co-arising. And we lift others up and they lift us up. They show us where we're not aware. And that might irritate us, but it's really useful to us. What is it? I think some teachers said that relationships are not designed to make us happy. They're designed to help us grow. And when we're growing, we experience joy and happiness. But if we go just for the happiness, then the relationship is irritating to us because we think it's doing the wrong thing. But it's just there to help us grow because it shows us our blind spots. But to create a culture that's really open to that and says, oh, this is good. Conflict is good because it helps us grow, rather than conflict is we did something wrong. And we should be really mad at each other because this conflict shouldn't happen. Conflict should happen. Communities that aren't having conflict are unhealthy communities because they're hiding the conflict. They're pushing it under and it's acting out in other ways. So how this looks at scale is it's a practice. It evolves over time. There are no real quick fixes when it's something important and of real value. So things like aligning with purpose, things like connecting people to a common direction, and making sure that they're all on board.